It's a short blast from the Sunshine State over to the Peach State, but Racecraft Rallycross has landed at the Atlanta Motor Speedway and is ready to go for round number 4. Hello everyone and welcome back. It's going to be a double header once again. RX2 ready to get underway and it's going to be a blockbuster event, that is for sure. My name is Arjuna Kankipati. Back this time around, Ewan O'Leary stepping in very capably, I must say, last time around. Dane Barrett alongside as always. Dane, excited to go racing once again. Sad though that I missed some great racing back at Daytona.
Yeah, it was really good racing at Daytona as well, and I'm looking forward to Atlanta. It's one of my favorite circuits on the Rallycross calendar. Just the donk slide makes up for any flaws the track may have. It is fantastic. There's nothing else like it anywhere on iRacing, so it is a track that I always look forward to coming to, and it's not the short layout of Atlanta, which is just fantastic. So
long layouts are always better, let's be honest, at the end of the day. It is also the one track where I could justify the purchase of my Hoisingveld handbrake, so that is always exciting. Yes. Let's run you down through the schedule though. Let's remember, rescheduled round number 2, so we'll instead see Sonoma be our championship decider, but now we approach the halfway marker in this season after this trip to Iowa, which I think is going to be really fascinating. Brands Hatch, Barcelona, Lucas Oil, Charlotte, and then of course Sonoma to close things out. Dane, let's talk a little bit more about Atlanta. You mentioned the long layout, which means a long sweeping run into 7 and 8 that builds us up into a jump and then across of the start-finish line. Joker Delta about 8.5 seconds shorter here, of course, as the drivers work their way around the regular lap. That includes 4 and 5, of course, the donk slide complex. It's a fascinating combo, 64% tarmac, 36% dirt. Difficult to pass, though, I think is an understatement.
Yeah, you don't really have that many opportunities because you're heading out quite a lot of speed into turn 7 and 8, and they're quite open, so that's really your best bet. Or you can try and force it too wide to the donk slide, but things get very sketchy with the walls close on either side, and that Joker is something we will have to watch out for because it can be terrifying when you've got cars coming out of the donk slide through turn 6, and you've got cars going to the Joker at very different speeds.
Talk about how drivers will accumulate points over the course of the sessions because it builds all the way from qualifying. You get 6 points for grabbing the pole positions, and then once we divvy the drivers up into usually 3 heats, you score points there as well. Only 10 or 12 drivers make it through to the feature depending on which tracks we go to. 15, of course, if you grab the victory, but only the top 10 will end up scoring points, and so that means with RX2 having 3 race weekends in the books, 3 different race winners as well. If we take a look at the points, which already, unfortunately now, include 2 drop rounds, so it's a little bit hard to really see how the championship is shaking up. The one thing we know is it's going to be close, Dane.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 4 drivers on identical points from their highest scoring round from the first 3, which is quite crazy, and that's not just because of the 2 drop weeks either. We saw that last season. We still had drivers tied on points at the end. We have a very close format because the drivers have so many opportunities to score those points, especially when you get to the top of the standings. The drivers have had 3 opportunities to score those points, and they tend to even it out quite well.
Absolutely. Qualifying has about 90 seconds left to run for the drivers in RX2. Remember, this is a fixed setup series for these drivers with 5-lap heats, 5-lap LCQs, and then a 10-lap feature. That, of course, the same format as what we see in the RX1 category, which is an open setup competition. These drivers getting their first steps into the world of Rallycross, slinging the dirt, and of course, we've got some interesting challenges up ahead. Currently on top in qualifying, it's Sean Winkler as he looks to grab a victory for the first time this season. That would make it 4 in 4 so far. The margin behind him, though, very tight. A second separates Dane currently the top 18 drivers.
Yep, really close, and that's always good to see. This is a very interesting circuit. It's been around for a while, so a lot of the drivers have maybe been around a bit longer in the IRX scene. They're going to know this place pretty well. It's a very commonly used circuit whenever we do have these rallycross competitions, so it's definitely going to be an interesting experience for a lot of these drivers. I'm just waiting to see what happens in towards the start of each race, because it is a long run down towards the first corner, which is, I believe, turn 7.
We have a full complement of 30 drivers getting ready to go as well, so that is delightful to see. I think Atlanta's one of those real drivers tracks as well, one that everyone enjoys, not just because of the donk slide. It's one of my personal favorites as well, not just because it was the very first IRX World Championship Rallycross race that I ever commentated on, so holds a special place in my heart. Qualifying in the books, though, the drivers now divvied up into 3 separate heats as they fight for automatic transfer positions to the feature. Let's run you down how they'll line up. Sean Winkler searching for a 4th consecutive season with a victory. He'll start alongside with Evan McFarlane, Tom Grady, Trevor Teal through the top 4. Cody Winecki, Andrew Howell, 5th and 6th positions with Eric Whitner, Vergard Leah, Hex Valentine, and then Will Overden through the 10 cars in heat number 3, with 2 advancing directly through to the feature. They start, fortunately here, Dane, on the tarmac rather than the dirt that they do on the short layout.
Yeah, that causes a lot of problems. It's like 3rd place in the short layout is the best place to start the race because you have the most grip on the dirt. It's crazy. So starting on the tarmac, always a good idea.
And much like the last time you and I were together at Knock Hill, they are 2x2 fanned out through the starting formation.
Yeah, 4 wide possibly into the first corner, and there is the space to do it. It just doesn't keep that way for very long, so expect a possibility for carnage into the first corners.
Getting ready to go for round number 4 of RX2 in 2023. It's Sean Winkler and Evan McFarlane at the front as the engines build for the first time at Atlanta. Good start from row number 2, and they're going to try and force the issue as they break into what is technically turn 7 at the end of the lap. Strong on the braking from Evan McFarlane, but Winkler down the inside will preserve position. They pit each other further back. They trip over one another, coming over the jump as well. But Winkler leads from Trevor Teal, who slides his way up into 2nd, with McFarlane, Grady, and Howell through the top 5.
Through this chicane, we've seen many an incident in this part of the circuit. Those blue turtle curbs love to flip cars over as we see them take to the Joker. They can take to the Joker on the first lap because they did pass the start-finish line already. And that is how quick a lap of Atlanta is when you've taken to the Joker lap. It's a huge shortcut here. I believe it's somewhere in the range of 8 seconds. And then around the final corner, they go to start lap number 2 over the jump. That jump is a tricky one. If you get it slightly wrong, you can get some engine damage.
So Winkler leads with Teal ducking down with him behind. Howell, Valentine, McFarlane through the top 5, but only the top 4 so far have used that significant Joker. They'll now peel off to the left, one of the few sections in IRX competition that you might actually want to use the handbrake, Dane, but now it's so important to be technical when getting on the power through the long left-hand sweeper.
And watch for drivers trying to come out of the Joker as well, because you gain speed the entire way down this section, and you'll see drivers trying to make moves up the inside into the last couple of corners. Drivers having to avoid other drivers making their way through the different Joker merge. It is very tricky, that Joker exit, as Teal looking left, looking right, but not quite able to find an opportunity to get into the lead yet.
Still behind, McFarlane searches for his opportunity to come down to the Joker. We've seen in IRX competition in the past how important it is to time that well. Car slowing down as Eric Whitner, I think, let some machines on through. Here's McFarlane, though, and he'll maybe wait until the final lap. He goes early, though, and don't know where he's going to come out relative to the competition, right behind Winkler, and now almost off the road.
Yeah, that is a danger. If you come out, you can get pushed wide into the grass. There's a dip on the inside as well, and you just eat up some Armco barriers. So one of the things you've got to watch out for when taking the Joker here.
Up and over the jump, they'll go 3-way fight for 2 transfer positions, and so Trevor Teal, as we look on board with him, knows that it's either an LCQ spot or an automatic feature spot if he can try and find his way past McFarlane, who makes a mistake.
And that will be a slowdown penalty as well. One of the few places you can actually get slowdowns on the IRX calendar. It is, turn 2. It's easy to miss that turn 1 braking zone. If you do, you're going straight on. You do not want to hit those turtles.
Andrew Howell now tucks in behind as all but 2 have taken the Joker. Tom Grady in the 535 Legion Speed Sports machine is not just going to take the Joker, he's going to blast himself off into the wall. It's a high-speed merge from the Joker exit back onto the racing surface, as it were. And unfortunately, Tom Grady finds out the hard way that maybe you do need a little bit of caution. 1 lap to go, though, and Teal up to 2nd.
He is indeed. Let's see how long he can keep it for. As through this first section, they go very tricky braking zone because it's a little bit curved. The barrier on the left-hand side and the entry cuts in towards the track a little bit. Evan looking left, and we'll see maybe a send up the inside to the donk side. He does do it.
Oh, and that's brave, but it's going to give the opportunity for Trevor Teal to still pinch the inside, but he has to concede and slot back into line. What a fantastic move on the final lap of the race. I almost thought McFarlane was about to run himself into the wall, but he'll grab a spot in the feature along with Sean Winkler as McFarlane blows the corner. Teal will slide his way on through and potentially grab that spot. In fact, will grab that spot as they fight up and in the air. McFarlane bounces his way off the wall, but Sean Winkler grabs the victory in heat number 1 with Trevor Teal advancing along with him. Absolute craziness to get us started here at Atlanta.
I think he finished 4th there. We'll see confirmation on the screen now, but he came off the jump ball sideways into the wall on the outside as well. And I think he just got pipped for 3rd place as well. So we'll see now. He did by Andrew Howells. That was a 0.5 of a second in it. But yeah, the Brit gets ahead of that as well. So heartbreak for Evan into the final corner, but it is so easy to do. It is so much speed you carry into that complex.
Usually you see it at the start of the race as well, so just keep that in mind. So remember, 2 advance, the rest into the LCQs. Let's see how they'll line up for heat number 2. It'll be Ollie Honka and Greg Johnson on the front row with Kane Lasky and Nathan Carpenter behind them. Nathan Brown and then Rennie Wegner share row 3 with Vince from Helper Shell, the UFC fighter inside of Ovind Anderson, Robbie Kirtley, and then Jurgen Malucha at the back end of the 10-car heat. My word, McFarlane showing just how much you've got to fight to try and fight your way on through, and Trevor Teal showing why you can never give up until you reach the checkered flag.
Yep, certainly. And now we have a grid once again heading into that exact complex, those last 2 corners. So we'll see if everyone makes it through cleanly. It's always a tight one.
And remember, they can take the Joker their first time by because we blast across the line after 2 right-hand sweepers. Bit of a jump start there for Ollie Honka. Is that going to be a penalty? We'll have to wait and see. Good start from him, though. Not such a good start from the outside of row number 2. 3 wide, ends in disaster for a couple, off and on into the grass. Single file a little bit further up as they work up and over the jump. Honka across the line, but questions as to whether he jumped the start.
Yeah, a bit of front to rear bumper contact there into the first couple of corners as well for 2nd and 3rd positions there, as they seem to make it through quite cleanly up at the front at least. And a very impressive Vince Pichel in the number 82, not taking the Joker this time by, but really impressed us in Daytona last week.
Yeah, I'm disappointed I wasn't there to make more From Hell puns, UFC-related puns in general. I had a great blast yesterday watching a UFC pay-per-view, as I know many of the drivers did. Now, Ollie Honka did confirm that he has jumped the start. Don't know what the penalty is, but regardless, we'll have to wait and see. Black flag is in the air for him. It's not like he can serve multiple Jokers, given that it would just give him more of an advantage time-wise, so I think we'll only get confirmation across the line. Kirtley and Lasky have also Jokered. Behind them, though, you can see they're still squabbling. I wonder if the likes of Johnson and Pichel will decide to Joker, and they do so in unison.
Very strange, you don't regularly see drivers taking to the Joker at the same time as the driver directly in front of them, but I think Pichel saw an opportunity to grab a position there and did so indeed. Both of them running a little bit deep perhaps into the final couple of corners, but they held on to it, and now it's going to be a bit of a drag race. Massive impact on the ground there. Has he got a bit of damage from that?
Well, the one thing that you never want to do is land with one side of the car, either the nose or the tail, completely skyrocketed. They proved that in IndyCar today. Well, they tried their best to, it turned out. Carl Kirkwood, not full space shuttle status, but like maybe 737 status. We'll put it at that. 7 cars have now taken to the Joker, and so if Ollie Honka is not going to be advancing his way on through, it means Greg Johnson and Vince Pichel are in those transfer spots. Nathan Carpenter, who is behind the 82, is going to try, and maybe more successfully than ever, McFarlane work his way on through, as that's a lunge by Kane Lasky down the inside of Robbie Kirtley.
And you'll see drivers locking up and running a bit deep into those final 2 corners. It is a tricky braking zone. It's wide, it narrows up. You sort of have to turn and brake to get it right, which obviously unsettles the car, and it's bumpy as well. So those tires do lift up off into the air, and that helps you lock the brakes, which is really not helpful when you're trying to get a good line.
Just love how they sweep their way through that complex of corners. We have one more lap after this, and then we'll actually know what the penalty is for Ollie Honka, who's 2.3 seconds clear of Johnson, Pichel, and Carpenter. Carpenter about 8/10 off the back of that 82 machine. Not sure if he's going to get close enough in this final attempt, because we've mentioned how tricky it can be. All it really is now is on Vince Pichel to survive this one more lap and grab that spot in the feature.
Yep, and you may be thinking, Honka, well, why is he still driving if he's got the penalty that's not going to let him get straight to the feature? This result will set the grid for the... Oh, who's got off?
Who was that? Greg Johnson, I think, has had a small issue, and now maybe slightly overcommitting into the dog slide, and he's going to drive Nathan Carpenter into the wall with a block pass there. Well, that's likely going to be race control intervening between this round and the next round. Ollie Honka will come across the line, like Dane mentioned just a few moments ago, trying to maximize starting position in the LCQ. It'll be Vince Pichel that likely will line up on the outside of the front row in the 10-lap feature. Greg Johnson will advance. Carpenter holds off Lasky, who grabbed the victory last time out at Daytona in this RX2 category. Hurtley, Malucha, Wegner, and Anderson complete the rest of those across the line. Yeah, that wasn't necessarily a move from mixed martial arts. That seemed more like an RKO straight out of nowhere for a handful of the drivers. Results, I think, will confirm that Ollie Honka drops down to 7th position, so it's about a 10-second penalty, give or take. Pichel Johnson on through with Carpenter, Lasky, Kirtley, and company into the last chance qualifiers. Heat number 3, the final of the heats, getting ready to go, with 2 more spots in the feature on the line. Here's how they'll line up with Dylan Baldwin, winner in week number 1, alongside with Paul Mikolajic, Rox Kaiser, and Istvan Titz, the championship leader. 3rd and 4th with Keenan Kusin, the artist formerly known as Mr. Aero HD, and Zach Mitchell through the top 6. They're getting ready to go, so there's the rest of the field. 1 more heat, 2 more spots in the feature on the line with the engines already in song. It's a good start from the front row of the grid, and Baldwin should have a comfortable lead as they work their way through the corner, pulling on the handbrake potentially for a couple of the cars behind. They fight for 3rd and 4th position with Kaiser and Titz side by side, but great start from Baldwin to lead across the line.
Yeah, and the top 2 have got quite a nice gap to the drivers behind as well, so if they can work together here and try not to get involved too much, they can try and take these 2 spots all the way to the end. It's only 5 laps they got to hold on for. It's not the longest time in the world, especially not here at Atlanta.
So what can we see behind Paul Mikolajic this time by? I think I see a can of Coke there, so it's going to make our friends over at the Coca-Cola family very happy. You can also see just how much you're trying to actually stay calm through that left-hand sweeper. A lot of people, I think, have this misconception that it's all about being up on the wheel through the dirt, but it's just trying to maintain the momentum and keep the car rolling and pointing where you want it to go. Across the line then, to start lap number 2, only the Ford Fiesta, our championship leader, has come across the line to take the Joker, along with Keenan Kusin, who finds himself now up into 2nd spot, albeit right now with Baldwin in company. And so, as then expected, Baldwin and Mikolajic will take to the Joker and release themselves of the pressure.
Yep, and that's to be expected. You definitely want to be up as far ahead as you can. You don't want to be staying back too long, because you could run the risk of someone just slamming into the side of you, trying to take the Joker at the exit. So yeah, it's definitely wise to get out in front as early as possible.
On board with the Subaru now. Grab a couple of gears down through here. We've had some memorable moments in the IRX All-Star Invitational over the years, through turns 1 and 2, with Mario. I'm trying to remember who it was. It wasn't him. There's a handful of drivers that have taken the anti-cut curbs and actually rolled multiple times. Hopefully not going to see that today, but I get the sense that as you go into last chance qualifiers, Dane, it's going to get more physical. Who knows what to expect then?
I can't remember the name, but I remember someone hitting those curbs through turn 2. Got forced wide there during one of the qualification races for the World Championship and literally did a front flip, and I make no exaggeration, did a full front flip, landed back on his wheels, and
nice.
couldn't drive because the engine was dead, obviously.
Oh, boo. But 10 out of 10 on without the landing, it sounds like.
There's a GIF of that somewhere.
We'll have to go and dig it up.
The blame for that.
Oh, okay. Okay, as expected. Hashtag blame though. Bolden and Miko Lajic, by the way, look pretty comfortable. Yes, Ross Istvan Tits is in third position as we jumped on board with Ross Kaiser for a moment, but these three cars fighting for third find themselves very much separated from 1 and 2, and so very much just fighting over starting spots in the last chance qualifiers. Miko Lajic, I think just that touch too far behind the Pit Viper machine that finds itself up and in the air as it works its way across the line to start the final lap of heat number 3.
Through these first couple of corners, it is so tricky. It looks like it's fairly straightforward, but it is anything but. These cars do not like to change direction that much. And as you were saying earlier, ooh, a little bit of a touch on the wall. It's very easy to do. You want to get as close to them as possible, but right here, you want to keep the car as straight as possible. If you're facing sideways, you're not driving as quickly in a straight line as you want to be.
Front of the field, it's been nice and easy. It's been a relatively calm heat number 3 overall. Dylan Baldwin will take Paul Miko Lajic along with him straight through to the feature in round number 4 of RX2 in 2023. While Zach Mitchell gets in front of the championship leading number 2 across the line to get a little bit more starting position in their final attempts to work their way into the feature. Here's a quick look at the results as we wait for them rather to come across the line. Just Ross Kaiser yet to finish. Trevor Royer, unfortunately, not enjoying the best of races. He will be classified as 1 lap down in this third heat of the day. Eric Dubois also unable to get into the race due to some technical issues, and so that sees him classified as 6 laps down. But they're getting ready to go for the first of the last chance qualifiers. Once again, 3 will make it through to the feature, and so Andrew Howell, Zach Mitchell, and Kane Lasky will look to preserve their spots, with Hex Valentine, Keenan Kusin, and Jurgen Malucha all trying to spoil the party. Behind them, Winicki, Durr, Wegner, Grady, Royer, Brown, the 12 machines that will battle for 3 spots in the feature. And don't forget, the further back you finish inside of that top 3, Dane, the worse your starting position in the feature.
Yep, that's why we saw Ali Honga try and get as much of an advantage as possible in that second heat.
Here we go then. Short blast into turn 7 once again with 12 machines scampering for position. It's a great start from the outside of the front row, and Zach Mitchell has a bit of a gap. It will induce a bit of contact, and 3 wide induced there. Chaos, and it sees Mitchell, the one spat off the track, getting the worst of it all. But Kane Lasky goes from 3rd to 1st as there's chaos and carnage in the background. 5 laps underway.
Yep, chaos at the start. We've had pretty clean starts, especially up at the front for the first few heats, but now it's the business end of things, and we see a couple drivers taking to jokers, but a little bit of chaos at the beginning.
Just a little bit. In fact, about half the field almost taking to the Joker on the first time of asking. Kane Lasky has a healthy gap behind him as more sends, this time by Royer in the 090, and he almost rejoins into the path of the Volkswagen Beetle, excuse me. Got Tom Grady behind, contact in midair, spinning around goes Hex Valentine. I mean, we always know that the last chance qualifiers is where the action is. It's really where the bare knuckle brawls get started. Kane Lasky, Keenan Kusin, Tom Grady, 1, 2, and 3, and looking pretty comfortable as it stands right now to work their way forward to the feature.
Well, it's the last chance. It's in the name, and the drivers know that, and they don't want to be going home already. So that's why we end up having these maybe more incident-heavy races in the LCQs than we would have in the heats. The heats, you know, you still got the last chance qualifier coming up. You don't necessarily have to force the issue, but last chance is your last chance.
Yeah, and I always would feel like I'd be more comfortable watching a last chance qualifier, knowing my spot in the feature is already secure, than driving in one. But there's been only a handful of occasions in history where drivers have fought their way through the LCQs to go on and win the feature. It's just the track position you are dealt also makes it very, very difficult there. is the 03, I believe. Again, the artist formerly known as Mr. Aero HG, now dubbed Aerotech. Keenan Kusin back and with us, running in the 3rd position, has Wegner having a bit of a moment almost, running himself off the track as they work their way out of turn number 6, and a bit of separation now. I think Kusin also has to remember that he doesn't want to push the issue too much here and bring those behind back into the fight.
Yep, that is the last thing that you want to be doing, especially when you're up into these spots. You want to avoid battling as much as possible, but you know that you can't just settle back, especially when you've got drivers that have still yet to take the Joker, and that is about the last thing that you want to be doing. It slows down all of your progress, and these cars understeer a lot. They do not like to turn if you've got that slide wrong.
And you can also damage the steering, at which point the car balance maybe changes a little bit more than you'd like. 1 lap to go for the top 3 as they see spots on the feature on the line, but Winnicki makes a mess of the final corner, goes sideways over the jump. It's Tom Grady in the Legion Speed Sports 535. That's the grateful recipient of a transfer spot.
And that is why you just keep going, even if you're a little bit further back. We've seen it already today, but things just happen in Rallycross. It does have that unpredictability that almost no other form of motorsport has. There is so much that goes into it. Oh, that's going to be bad. That's going to be very, very bad. Wegener, it looks like, is around in the donk slide, and you have to send it in there. Yep, there's cars everywhere.
Cars scattering, like Paul Smith would say, like Skittles. But King Lasky looking to try and go back-to-back will find his way through the last chance qualifiers, along with Kusin and Grady to the feature. We'll say goodbye to Mitchell, Durhauer, Wegner, Malucha, and the rest. You always know it's going to be chaos, and we've still got 1 more last chance qualifier and 3 more spots to dole on out. Dane Baird has managed to find the aforementioned GIF of chaos, and I can tell you, maybe not 10 out of 10 on the landing, but almost close to it. Here's a look at the race results. Margin of victory almost 5 seconds at the end, with plenty of those drivers behind running themselves into the wall. Here's how they'll line up though for last chance qualifier number 2. Again, 12 cars enter, 3 advance their way forward. Carpenter, McFarlane have looked strong, but so has Istvan Tits, the championship leader. Robbie Kirtley, Overden, and Morris will complete your top 6 starting spots, with Honka and Leah alongside the Kaiser and Anderson through the top 10. Whitner and Dubois will round out the field. Dubois able to resolve his technical issues to at least try and find a spot in the feature from the very back. It was chaos and carnage on the start for last chance qualifier number 1. Expect the same here in last chance qualifier number 2. We're green in Atlanta once again, and it's a poor start from the pole position man. McFarlane with a lead in towards the penultimate corner on the lap. A Ford Fiesta goes deep under braking, but there's a car going up and over. Add 1 again to our flip counter, but McFarlane from Carpenter from Tits, 1, 2, and 3 across the line.
Yeah, we have the flip counter. You missed that last week, Arjuna. We actually did get it. Oh, almost a repeat of my favorite GIF, as one of the Beatles has very nearly made a mess of that. Just about holds on to it.
I think we're going to need that flip counter maybe a little bit more. 1 car is done, it would seem. That seems to be the 226, but Carpenter takes to the Joker, unlike McFarlane, who elected to not take the Joker. Tits followed the 62, as did Kirtley and Dubois. We'll see if McFarlane responds here on lap number 2.
Sending it between those blue curbs. Getting it wrong can mean so many different things. Going wide a little bit, just unsettling the car, flipping completely, getting a slowdown. There's all sorts of things that can go wrong. That is not the line through the donk slide. Gets a little bit too loose and maybe a bit of an overcorrection. Whoa!
McFarlane jokers and takes the lead by a handy margin. So McFarlane from Carpenter from Tits, now those in the transfer spots, and Ollie Honka, who has yet to take to the Joker, I do believe, doesn't find himself close enough to be within Joker Delta of the top 3. So he's going to have to push as the 74. He's got 3 more laps, excuse me, to find some speed.
Ooh, car off in the background. Didn't quite see who it was. Coming out of the final corner. Yeah, coming out of the final corner was yeah, just completely sideways over the dirt.
It is getting to that point where it's increasingly desperate from some of the drivers. I think Ollie Honka lost a little bit of time just before we picked him up because he pushed a little bit wide and off into the grass before, just on the Joker exit, despite not having Joker just yet. Really sending it over the jumps as well. One thing to remember, Dane, is you can control the attitude of the car using your inputs, much like you can in the real world. Yeah,
a little bit of a dab of brake is going to tilt the car a little bit forward, pitch the car forwards a bit, which can help you land a little bit straighter. Oh, Eric Dubois, that is not the way you want to be coming across the line.
No, it is not, and he's going to spin himself right around there. Still waiting to see if Ollie Honka will come down to Joker. He's saving it for the final lap, and he has brought himself within touching distance. He's about 10-11 seconds behind your race leader, which means he's only about 9 seconds or so behind third position, and he'll have the extra speed as he works off of the Joker merge.
Yep, and you carry that speed down that entire long straight into the last couple of corners. So we could end up seeing side by side, or even made the move stick before we reach the braking zone. But it's going to be close, that's for sure.
Here we go then, final lap. Final chance to work into that 10-lap main event. McFarlane should be set. Carpenter thinks he surely is too, but Honka wants to spoil the party. Plenty of speed, but with a country mile between him and those he needed to challenge, championship leading Ford Fiesta will dance its way through the final corners along with McFarlane and Carpenter to find their ways to the back end of the feature grid. A wiggle wobble to celebrate the victory in the second of the last chance qualifiers. We say goodbye to the rest of the field, but the main event, of course, still yet to come for these drivers. Double the race distance as well. Mental focus surely is going to be tested. Here's a look then at those race results for the second of the last chance qualifiers. McFarlane, Carpenter, and Titz will get one more opportunity, but Honka, Kirtley, Morris, Whitner, Dubois, Avendin, Anderson, Kaiser, and then the 226 of Vergaard Olsen, all going home for the day and will regroup and join us once again in 7 days' time. And just like that, Dane, we get a breath, but only for 2 minutes or so before we go once again.
Yeah, only a couple of minutes for the drivers. The drivers that have just made it through that last chance qualifier, they get straight back into things. Drivers who've made it through in heat number 1 have just been sitting here the entire time that we've been watching all of these all of these races go by. They've just been sitting waiting. So it does affect different drivers in different ways. Obviously, it's always nice to know that you got through nice and early, but yeah, you've not been able to drive. There is no way of test driving whilst you're in the session. So they've just been sat watching.
They have just been sat watching. These rallycross machines, always a lot of fun. And remember, again, fixed setups for these drivers, so there's not much that they can do. But as the track has evolved, the Subaru's very much going to be in vogue. And I think as it stands, outside of Istvan Titz, I don't think there is going to be any non-Subarus, but we'll wait and see when we get to the starting grid. Of course, front row of this main event is going to look very, very interesting. Sean Winkler trying to grab what will be a 4th consecutive season with a victory in it. And then you've got Vince Pichel, the UFC fighter, alongside.
Well, I mean, if there's one person you really don't want to punt off into turn 1.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Especially not someone that's beaten up Jim Miller. I am just saying. There are many people there are potentially some people in the UFC you'd want to tangle with. I didn't say CM Punk, but I'm sure some would say CM Punk. But yeah, someone that's beaten Jim Miller, no thank you. That man's got 53 professional fights.
Yeah, definitely not someone I would want to tangle with on the track. We did see someone actually completely wipe Vince out.
Oh, did we?
Last week at Daytona. And I am scared for their safety.
I think what we need to do in the rulebook is if race control determines something is so egregious that it warrants this penalty, they need to travel their way over to Vince Pichel, and subject themselves to 2 minutes. And we won't say 5 minutes, not a full MMA round, just 2 minutes. 2 minutes in a cage. Here we go, though. It's a lot more than 2 minutes for these drivers. They've got about 8 minutes, 10 laps to fight. 12 will go out, 1 will grab the checkered flag. Sean Winkler and Vince Pichel on the front row, Dylan Baldwin and Trevor Teals on row number 2. Johnson and Mikko Lijic behind them. The 6 drivers that advanced their way directly from the feature and have been waiting on ice. Lasky, McFarlane, Kusin, Carpenter, Grady, and Titz, the 6 that worked their way through the last chance qualifiers, with the field getting ready to go. The lights beginning to illuminate. Round 4 of RX2 is moments away. We go green from Atlanta, and a great start from Vince Pichel, a better start from Trevor Teal. He fights his way to look for the lead. He'll now come back to the inside. Pichel squabbling with Winkler as they dance their way through the final corner and up and over the jump. A drag race into turn number 1, but it's not Pichel on the inside. He's gonna try and be brave and hang it around the outside, but Winkler grabs the lead for now. Contact, Pichel will almost go up and over, but Winkler will drop back through the field.
And Pichel may have a slowdown from that as well, but definitely the car will not be happy having taken that big bump and a little bit of contact there. And all the dog side's completely blocked. Everybody taking to the Joker now has a massive advantage over this lot.
I think Pichel needed to grab first gear there. Took him a second to knock it down through all of those gears, and now damage on the front of his car. Who's taken advantage and who took to the Joker on lap number 1? We'll find out at the line, of course. Major drama. Lasky, Kusin, Carpenter, Titz will confirm that they have taken to the Joker and therefore remove themselves from the equation and the melee through the dong slide. But I tell you what, Carpenter wants to get in on the fun. He's trying to find his way past Aerotech.
Yeah, wants that second position, that is for sure. Looking to try and get sort of a cutback here and get some good exit speed. Actually has done a good job, but it's going to look to the inside for these last couple of corners. Unfortunately, you've just tightened up the line for yourself massively there for the number 62 driver. And it's not going to help your cause that much.
I tell you what, sorry Dave, Vince Pichel has not taken to the Joker, I believe, although I guess we'll find out at the line. He's 6 seconds off of Lasky. He's within the Joker delta. No, never mind. He has Joker. I was about to get so excited. Carpenter once again looks to try and find a way past Kusid.
Oh, this could be it. Sends it up the inside. They are side by side, but not as they come out of the corner. And you'll see they try not to get the cars too sideways, but barely anything separating these two drivers. That's what I was talking about. You can fall off the track on the exit. That grass is sloped and it just sucks you into the wall.
Carpenter able to hold on, though. I tell you what, if you didn't think he was pushing, there's a clear example of how hard he is wrangling his machine. Front of the field, though, end of lap number 3. It is still Kane Lasky with clean air in front of him, and about 9.5 seconds back to Dylan Baldwin, the first driver yet to take to the Joker. Both Lasky and Baldwin have grabbed race victories so far this season. One of them might become the first to do it twice this season, and Baldwin pirouettes his car and pitches it down to the Joker. He won't slide his way to the lead, but he's on the back of the number 30.
Yep, and through this last right-hander, double right-hander, a little bit of grass on the inside, so much lockup from the driver in front on the rear right tire, because it just lifts up these car suspensions so soft, obviously, to absorb the jumps. But that means that it's incredibly difficult to keep all 4 tires on the ground in the braking zones.
Which car would you rather be in when it lands from 8 feet up in the air, an Indy car or a Rallycross machine? Because I know which one I'd rather be in.
Definitely a Rallycross machine.
Yes, no, oh, exactly. I'm still struggling to imagine how it felt for Carl Kirkwood to take that bump and then have to sit there and wait for his team to tell him, we think we can fix your car and send you back out to drive a little bit more. Your reward for being involved in a monster accident. We'll get to the halfway mark, by the way, this time by Baldwin, increasingly trying to put the pressure onto the back of Lasky. 1.8 back is the battle between Kusin and Carpenter, who has not allowed his mistake that saw him run off the track to disturb his momentum so far in this race. Winkler now the first one yet to Joker, but he is 16 seconds off of your leader. It is down to the 2 at the front.
plenty of time for Baldwin to try and make something happen there as well. He's still got a good 4.5, 5 laps, so it'll be interesting to see what he can try and make out of all of this. As we're right on board with probably very, very unlucky early on. A little bit more contact, just for good measure.
Oh, wait, Baldwin. Baldwin now leads in front of Lasky. That was into the penultimate corner. Was it a pass? Was it a mistake? It doesn't matter. They're side by side, and Baldwin launches himself off the track over the jump, and Lasky retakes the lead.
That's got to be infuriating, but they're almost side by side again. I think Lasky's done what we just saw Carpenter do a couple of laps ago and just gone a little bit too quick out of the dirt left-hander, because I don't see another way that move could have been made so early by Baldwin. We'll have to see if he can try and do it again.
What happened is that Lasky made the same mistake as Carpenter, sweeping his way out of here through the Joker merge, just off the track, and compromised himself. We know how easy it is to do that. Kusin had a moment where I think he thought he would be back in contention, but these two at the front back to their, I think, slightly higher speed than Kusin and Carpenter have shown so far. 3 laps left to figure it out. It's Lasky still in front.
But they are very happy with their decision to Joker on lap 1.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, great decision.
Probably the best decision they'll make all week.
Yeah, so dong slides, I mean, it's a passing opportunity if you want to be silly, I think is me being generous. You've got the run into the penultimate corner. It may take a mistake of the driver in front of you. I don't really know where Baldwin's going to be able to throw a pass, because he's not really looking like he's sticking close enough, at least right now with 2 laps now left to go.
It's going to take quite a lot, that's for sure. It is, especially with the gap as it is now. You need to get right up to the bumper, right up there.
Yeah, I just got to be full commitment right now as well, and I think that means getting the donk slide perfect, the left-hand sweeper as well, just feathering the throttle as best you can. They throw it in once again, a great camera shot as well. Just watch them all dance their way through that complex. But Lasky just looking in control. Pressure from behind doesn't seem like it's a problem.
No, it certainly doesn't. Be white flag next time by. Just using the grass on the outside of the sort of small straight section between 7 and 8 to rotate the car. I haven't seen that before. It's compromises your line in a little bit, but seems to be working just fine for the 30 driver.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find that, whatever way you can find to be fast, I guess you find your way to be fast. Don't think we're gonna get a tussle here. Looks like Lasky will go back to back and set up an interesting middle part of this championship with what does look to be a close, tight, congested field where unpredictability is, I think, the name of the game. Out of the last chance qualifiers and rising through the chaos on lap number 1. Kane Lasky, for the 2nd consecutive week, is a winner in RX2. He comes across the line to win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's Dylan Baldwin and Keenan Kusin, 2nd and 3rd on the podium, with Nathan Carpenter and Istvan Tits 4th and 5th position. Sean Winkler, who started at the front, unfortunately will settle for 6th. Miko Lijic, Teal, Pichel, as well as Grady, McFarlane, and Johnson will round out the rest of the 12 cars. An entertaining way to get our evening underway, Dane, because of course RX1 still yet to come as we take a look at the race results.
Yeah, and the RX1 guys are, I would say, more likely to send a move up the inside. They all know each other a little bit better. They've been doing it for a while now. They're not afraid to get under each other's skin a little bit.
I hope that they get a little bit more under their skin as we work our way through a crucial part of the championship. Final page of results, McFarlane, final scored driver with Johnson 1 lap down. And we'll begin our way to work through some interviews. I tell you what, still waiting for a winner. So Dane Baird standing by with Dylan Baldwin.
Well, Dylan, it was a very interesting start to that feature race. But first of all, let me know just how difficult was it for you to get through sort of the heats race and the starts of these races as well? Because it definitely did not look easy out there.
Yeah, it was not. It's a really tight turns 1 and 2, and then going across the jump. It's just really narrow for starting 3 wide, and track position is just so crucial here. There's not really any good place to pass besides those last 2 corners. So yeah, it was a lot of difficult, and the qualifying was, I feel like, really, really crucial too. I had a good lap, but then knowing me, I jumped in the final lap, which was my best one. But we fought back, and we had a pretty good points day.
It looked like you tried a couple times to send it up the inside into the donk slide. Wasn't quite working out for you. Is that a viable overtaking opportunity there?
I think it is if it's done right, but it's a very difficult move to do, and if you don't execute it right, you can end up taking yourself and others out. So I really I don't want to take out both of us running top 2.
Well, congratulations on that second place, and we look forward to seeing you next weekend as well. Before we let you go for RX2, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I would like to thank my team, KES. Thank Mario, Adam, Christian, Robbie, Matthew, Evan, and all of them. And I'd like to congratulate the winner today. He did a really good job. Kane, he raced me really clean. I raced him really clean. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can race again.
Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. That was Dylan Baldwin, obviously your second place finisher in RX2.
We'll chat now with Keenan Kusin, third, grabs a podium here. Keenan, how much fun was that for you? Plenty of chaos for everyone to work their way through.
Oh man, that was stressful. The Joker is such a useful tool here. We ended up using it really early, so I'm like, my only hope's in clean air. I don't have the speed, but I think I could just keep all 4 on the paint or on the dirt, I guess. And I kept looking in the mirror, and I kept not seeing anybody, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, we might be in for a shot here. And I didn't really have a lot of confidence coming to today, so coming out with a podium, there must have been a fireball behind me or something.
I've got to ask, the artist formerly known as Mr. Aero HD, are you no longer streaming in HD? Are you only now sub HD?
Yeah, unfortunately, all my future broadcasts will be in 480p. I hate to break that to everybody, but shout out to everybody who supported me today on Twitch too. I needed it. I was so not confident coming out of qualifying, and then just got faster and faster all day, and then set my my PB there on the last lap of the feature. So if there's ever a time to get quick, I think that was it.
I tell you what, take that confidence moving forward. We'll hopefully see you back here on Racecraft TV and in the podium in 7 days' time.
Yeah, shout out to Next Level Racing, Thrustmaster for supporting me. Big fan esports for the livery. Thank you, Davin. You do amazing work. And to you guys for putting this on. It's been a pleasure to come here and learn with the best of the best. So good luck to RX1 as well.
The man knows how to shout out his sponsors. Our winner standing by, back-to-back victories for Kane Lasky, and Dane Baird is ready to chat with him. Take that confidence moving forward. We'll hopefully see.
Well, I can hit double. That was it's good to know that you're watching along with the broadcast, Kane. But yeah, taking a victory must feel pretty great for you.
Thank you, Davin. You do amazing work. And to you.
Oh yeah, let me turn. I didn't know the broadcast was on.
The best of the best. So good luck to RX1 as well.
And knows how to shout out his sponsors. Our winner standing by, back-to-back victories for Kane Lasky, and Dane Baird is ready to chat with him. Take that confidence moving forward. We'll hopefully see. Well,
I can hit double. That was it's good to know that you're. Well, it seems like we can still hear the broadcast in the background, but Kane, we've got obviously race winner here at Atlanta, avoiding the carnage behind, obviously with the Joker. How critical was that decision for you, do you think?
I think there's really only one good strategy here, is to take the Joker on the first lap if you have pace. And yeah, luckily I had a pretty decent start, and I was lucky I didn't nail my qualifying. I should have did a 44.8, and I did a 45.0, and that put me 4 or 5 places down. But I had the inside for all of the races, and the inside is really the safest place. So that helped me a lot, and yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks, really.
Yeah, it definitely is. I know that better than a lot of people. Kane, thank you so much for joining us for a chat here. Obviously, taking the victory, some nice championship points in the bag as well, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Dane. Have a great day. See you guys later.
Well, it's always great to hear from our drivers there, Arjuna, and always great to see that they're listening to us as well.
Absolutely. And don't forget, while these drivers know that in 7 days' time they'll go racing once again, still, RX1 is up on the docket. Don't go anywhere on Racecraft TV. We'll be right back here with more action.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. RX2 is in the books. It leaves the RX1 drivers ready for their track action. Let's take a look at the schedule very quickly. We'll take a look at the points as well. Let's remind you where we've been. Phoenix, Knock Hill, Daytona. We've still got Iowa, Brands Hatch, Barcelona, Lucas Oil, Charlotte, and Sonoma left to go. Championship, somewhat interesting. Again, hard to really tell you the stories. 2 drop weeks already counted. 3 rounds in the books here. But Jacob Rafos, 3 victories in 3 races, Dane. He is looking mighty fine, continuing that form out of 2022.
Yeah, he really is. And as impressive as he was last season, I wasn't sure how well it would come across because obviously he took a break from Rallycross for a while. Came back strong, really strong, and has been putting up, we've seen other drivers put up a bit of a fight, but still definitely favorite heading into every round, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Fox, Jarno Leskinen, Williams Esports 2 and 3 for the time being. See how it fares out for the 2 of them. Here's a look at the format for these drivers as with our Racecraft TV race analysis, 5-lap heats and LCQs with a 10-lap feature, just like it was for RX2. However, incident limit bumped down to just 6x compared to the 8, and open setups allows these drivers to adjust their cars to what they want it to do and how the track will evolve over the course of the event. It's Josh Fox for the 3rd time in 4 races that grabs pole position. He'll have Connor Parisi for company on the front row of Heat number 1's grid. Jacob Rafos not having the best run in qualifying, I think it's fair to say. He starts back in third with Jukka Pakala, Santeri, Heiskanen, and then Daniel Aish. Through the front 3 rows, it's Bodhi Kreider, Marcos Palacio, Anton Johnson, and then Russell Peterson that round out the 10 cars that will roll off for the first heat. Only 2 heats tonight, so a slightly smaller field, but still 2 cars will advance directly from this one. 30 seconds left to go. We've already seen some racing here at Atlanta with the fixed setup competition. It's the same cars, but drivers with some more experience. Dane, what are you expecting here in round 4 of the championship?
Probably a little bit more chaos into these first couple of corners. I don't think I've seen a pro-level race at this track where we haven't seen at least 2 cars go over and onto their roof at the beginning of these races. Hopefully we can keep it nice and clean though, and as always we like to see the game that the drivers like to play between themselves as who can grid up last.
See who wins that game here today, but for now, focus on what lies ahead. It is the 5 laps of action with 2 spots in the feature up for grabs. Just waiting for the drivers to see the lights begin to build and for the engines to begin revving. Can anyone stop Jacob Rafos from continuing his streak of victories? Josh Fox wants to spoil the party, and he's on pole position once again. Great start from him, but Rafos even better. Fox chops the nose off on the defending champion and in towards the penultimate corner of the lap. Contact with Parisi, who's bundled wide. Here comes Jacob Rafos side by side with Josh Fox, and Rafos leads at the line.
We have not seen these 2 side by side outside of a feature race all season so far. They've been qualifying first and second respectively every single round so far, but Rafos with a brilliant start, as you said, blocked at the beginning.
Ooh.
But opts not for the Joker.
Interesting, and Fox does turn his way stage right while Rafos went stage left, and now we'll see how long that Sim Magic machine will roll itself around the track while the Duracell powered Williams Esports Subaru did have Ollie Pakala, Jukka Pakala, excuse me. Oh, who was that? Bodhi Kreider.
Oh, that looked big.
He's off the track, hasn't really rejoined, so watching his relative, always good to see. Let's grab a look at our Racecraft TV replay. Pushed wide off of the jump and almost grinded on the exit, and I'm not sure why he slowed down. Maybe a slowdown penalty. Josh Fox in front of Jacob Rafos, who takes to the Joker on lap number 2. And contact as Jacob Rafos tries to clear himself on the Pennsylvania native. Pakala will sail it on through, and I have to be totally honest, don't know what Josh Fox could have done much differently there. Jacob Rafos getting the elbows out.
And it may well have just cost him a spot immediately into the feature. We may see probably one of, if not the quickest driver out there on the track, end up in a last chance qualifier. Still a bit of time left to go, but it's only a 5-lap heat race, not much time.
There's going to be plenty of spots in the feature race in the last chance qualifier. Rafos, I think, is dealing with some steering damage, and now we'll see Connor Parisi working his way through the Joker and into the second and final transfer position. Wow, we've just come off craziness in RX2, and heat number 1 for the RX1 driver is already setting itself up tantalizingly for the rest of the showcase. Parisi in VR as we take a look on board with him. Has got Josh Fox right behind him. Jacob Rafos 1.5 back as well. They've got 2 laps left to go as they come across the line. Josh Fox is going to be hunting, and Parisi's got his mirrors filled.
He does indeed. Oh, it looked like a big send up the inside from Fox there, as Rafos has got back up into 4th position as well. Made that move successfully. That is going to be an incredible battle in the last chance qualifiers for those 2.
Yeah, Josh Fox did push it a little bit wide, so I think now he's going to have not enough time to actually close his way on up to the back of Connor Parisi in that number 11 machine. Remember, Connor Parisi, the 2022 Season 1 champion, grabbed 1 victory on his way to the championship, finished in front of Fox and Rafos in the points when we came to the end of what was a 7-race campaign. Fox really wheeling this machine, running out of time to get the move done.
Send it towards the inside. It's going to have to be a lunge into the final corner if there will be a lunge, and Parisi with a good exit. I don't think he's going to be able to make it. Looks like those top two are secured.
Fox still pushes his way almost all the way off the track. Rafos with his damage might slot in behind Heiskanen, who takes to the Joker on the final time of asking and uses the superior speed to challenge the defending champion in through the final couple of corners. Front of the field though, take a bow, Yuko Pakula. He'll lead us to the green in the feature. Connor Parisi will line up behind him, but Josh Fox, Jacob Rafos, two of the championship hopefuls, have got to fight their way through a last chance qualifier. Daniel Ace, Santeri Heiskanen, Anton Jonsson, Marcos Palacio, Russell Peterson, and then Brody Cryer will round out the 10 cars in this first heat of the day. And my voice is already starting to feel the strain, and we've still got plenty of racing left to go. Second and final heat getting ready to grid itself up. Williams Esports will hope that Jarno Leskinen can have some better luck than Josh Fox did and grab his spot in the feature. Garrett Maines will be alongside and hopefully giving us multiple camera points of views with Palonaver, Edmondson, Clog, Abedi through the top 6. Field getting ready to rumble though. Ward, Sawyer, Ainge, and Sotens through the 10. Engines in song once again. It's green for heat number 2. Trying to chop on over is Garrett Maines, who's back in the Subaru as of today. But Leskinen alongside and holds on to pole position. The 58 rather of Edmondson tries to be bold. Palonaver able to hold his car and bully Edmondson back into line. But they all hold on except Rene Sotens, starting lap number 1 of 5.
Well, I tell you what, Edmondson, lucky to keep that car going in a straight line. A little bit of contact over the jump, that can easily spell absolute disaster. He will follow that driver in third place up into the Joker. A little bit of contact between the top two who haven't taken to the Joker. So Maines and Leskinen stay out and go through the donk side first time by as Edmondson looks for the gross lead.
Jarno Leskinen, one of the youngest podiums winners in iRacing Rallycross history, didn't make the feature event in the 2021 World Championship season here at Atlanta. That was his second ever race, finished 6th. See how he does here today. Still yet to Joker though, of course. Maines tucked in behind him as well. Daytona was an interesting round of the championship, one that, much like this, is a track that so many of these drivers have experience with. Garrett Maines has been on the podium in every single one of the rounds of the championship so far. He peels off, takes the Joker, inherits the race lead as he looks to try and add to 4 podiums in 4 races, a streak so far this season.
Loving the camera angles as always from Garrett Maines there up and over the jump. Ooh, look at it, ripped the wheel right from his hands there for a second. The car not happy over the jump, but through the right and then the left, you can see it is absolutely not easy. Footwork and the handwork going into things. Very technical circuit.
We're not allowed to talk about foot and handwork, Dane. Sorry, that's 18+. That's only on the Racecraft TV OnlyFans channel.
Knew it was coming.
Yeah, you're gonna get us in trouble. I mean, we are getting down and dirty here today, so I think it's only fitting. 3-way camera angles. We can even look at Garrett Maines and the focus on his face. Leskinen still yet to Joker. And I think now is going to get potentially caught up in some traffic with Ainge and Sawyer having taken that 8.5 second shortcut this time by. I would be somewhat bemused and confused if Leskinen does not take the Joker this time through, but we'll wait and see as they come across the line.
Something I love about looking at this Williams Esports livery is that every time I see it, it seems to have a new sponsor logo on it.
True. It's like McLaren a few years ago, you remember, where it was just like they had no sponsors in their car and then suddenly they had all the sponsors on their car. Leskinen does indeed take to the Joker and runs right up the back of Garrett Maines. It's like they were playing bumper cars, but Leskinen's shot not enough to perturb Garrett Maines there. I'm not sure what expression on the face that is of Jarno Leskinen. There is definitely one thing that I can see seeping through, and that's tiredness. Relative tiredness, because it's not as early in the morning as it would have been for the IRX World Championship.
That was a bit of a ridiculous start time for us.
That was perfect for me.
Oh yeah, but for you, but for the drivers, who I would argue, Arjuna, are slightly more important.
Wait, wasn't it only like an hour or two later than our start time for Racecraft TV Rallycross?
Any later is
I'm just saying.
Later.
Just saying, it wasn't that much later in hindsight if I really think about it. Front of the field though, Garrett Maines gonna take Jarno Leskinen through to the feature with him. Palaneva, Edmondson, Clogward, Sawyer, Ainge, Sotens and Abedi still have their chance to work through. Slightly unusual last chance qualifier set up. Strong performance out of Maines, but Leskinen really slowing down on the final lap. Not really sure what happened to him. Looking forward to seeing those two duking it out, of course, at the front of the feature. Cars will come across the line, we'll grab a look at those results, and then fast and furious rallycross action. We won't stop, we'll go straight over to the last chance qualifiers, where 4 spots in 2 last chance qualifiers will be on the line. Maines, Leskinen on through. The rest of the names up on your screen. No, there's still an opportunity to fight their way into the feature where plenty more points are on the line. Of course, we talked about the points format at the very start of today's activities. Here's a look at how they'll line up for the first of the last chance qualifiers. 8 starters, 4 make their way on through. Half the field knows there is a spot for them. Fox, Rafos, the two that know they've got to work their way forward, and they're already racing, or getting ready to race rather, here at Atlanta once again. So let's get these last chance qualifiers underway. Fox and Rafos lockstep on the start as they power down into the penultimate corner. They're almost 4 and 5 wide. Behind them, somehow they all figure it out, but it's Fox that squeaks in front of Rafos, with Ace trying to challenge Rafos up and over the jump, but single file across the line.
Too wide, a little bit further back in things. It looks like they're going to sort themselves out before they make their way through the first and second corners. But Fox versus Rafos, something that we've only seen in a feature up until today, and now we get to see it potentially 3 times?
Potentially. Was it Iowa and Garrett Lowe that in the IRX World Championship was the only race where we saw someone come from the last chance qualifiers to win the feature? I think it was. We've already seen someone do it today in RX2. Is there the chance that we see it in both of our races today? I have a feeling that would be a first for Racecraft TV Rallycross. Death Stare of Jacob Rafos once again. I am honestly quite surprised that Josh Fox as well as Rafos did not joker on the opening lap, knowing the speed disparity that they likely have compared to anyone else in the iRacing universe. Increasingly surprised as well that they're electing to stay out at the same time and minimizing the opportunities they have to fight with one another in terms of the joker.
Well, coming out of the dirt section there, still not a whole lot separating them. That is for sure. As it looked for a second like Heiskanen was going to land on top of Ace in front of us here. As that has happened. It sounds crazy, but it happens more regularly than you might think.
Yeah, and I mean, I missed Daytona, but compared to the first 2 rounds of the championship, this is one of those tracks where the dirt and the tarmac is intermingled a little bit more. Our first 2 rounds did indeed have, as Fox takes to the joker and Rafos does not, big margin behind, but some of the first tracks, Lock Hill, for example, it's basically a big long tarmac run and then a small section of dirt and then back onto the tarmac and loop yourself back around. Here, you're going back and forth between the surfaces. You've got to be just that bit more mindful. Rafos still finds himself well and truly inside of the Joker Delta, so with clean air for him to try and work his way through, still 2 laps with which he can play the Joker here. I think there's a chance for Rafos to cycle his way in front of Fox in terms of feature starting position.
There definitely is. He's just got to be careful, as we saw in the last race with Maines and Leskinen. That one went very well, the contact. It is very dangerous making your way through the Joker. Little tap to the ball. Rafos is going to leave it for the last lap. But he's just got to be careful. He doesn't wipe them both out in the process.
Well, and now the problem is that he's going to have traffic and he's going to have contact. Our defending champion, likely done in the last chance qualifiers. Rafos was trying to leave the Joker as late as he could, but that's going to come back to bite him. Rafos turned, coming to the final lap of the race.
That is worst case scenario.
This is guaranteed. This is guaranteed to be one of Rafos's drop rounds. You have to think that it's a 10-round championship. 2 drop rounds are allowed, but my word, Atlanta has taken Jacob Rafos victim. It will be Josh Fox, Bodie Cryer, Daniel H, and as it stands right now, Marcos Palacio that worked their way on through. Josh Fox dances his way through the final corner and up and over the jump to seal his way into the feature. We're gonna then have to wait 6 full seconds for the next machines to cross the line. Cryer indeed in front of Aish, in front of Palacio, who's fended off Jacob Rafos, who tried as best as he could. But that incident on the penultimate lap sees us say goodbye to Rafos in the last chance qualifier.
Well, this is now the best opportunity everyone else on the grid has to win a feature race. Probably that they'll get all season.
The streak has come to an end. Jacob Rafos will not make it 4-4. Fox, Cryer, Aish, and Palacio have an opportunity to grab the victory. We'll grab a look at LCQ number 2. Drivers that would have been watching on and seeing that moment and now know there's an opportunity. Palaneva and Edmondson, front row of the grid with Clog, Ward, Sawyer, and Ainge, 5th and 6th. Sotens and Abadi round out the field. Once again, getting ready to race here at Atlanta with 4 more spots on the line. We go green. A good start from the front row, maybe a better start inside of row 2, but backing out of that, trying to get through turn number 1 safely. They all dice it through. Edmondson in front of Palaneva as they work their way back onto the power and into the air. Clog from Ward as the Fiesta goes scrambling up and over the jump, but a tidy start overall.
Yeah, a little bit of beating and banging a little bit further back in your field, but looks like they've all got through, which is what we like to see. Now, who will joke your top 2? Oh, that was so close. As Palaneva very nearly clipping the front of the driver behind as they made their way in towards the Joker lap. Very sketchy stuff.
It's just how you set it up, right? If you want to go to the Joker, you're all the way on the left. If you want to take the regular lap, you're all the way on the right. That's Sotens that I think got into the wall. And indeed, in his Subaru, he finds reverse and backs it onto the track. Edmondson, though, will lead in the Next Level Racing Nitro Circus machine with the Joker officially now in the books. Palaneva and Sawyer also now behind. And remember, with Abadi not taking to the start, only 7 machines on the grid, we say goodbye to 3, with 4 transferring through to the feature. So, as more that will advance than we'll technically say goodbye to, Dane.
Yeah, it's a very odd situation to be in with the number of drivers that did end up signing up for this one, and just the funky format that we've ended up with. Drivers going through to the feature and not going through to the feature, but all that matters is that these drivers try and find their way into those top 4 spots, which is easier said than done.
Let me grab a look at what happened with Brian Sawyer. He clips the inside, he spits himself off into the Armco, and then Sotens, I think, had his moment behind, didn't it? Because I don't think they were too separated, those 2 little incidents. Still Edmondson leads in that 58, though. One of the drivers looking forward to a potential return of the Off-Road Championship Series. I'm very much hoping that we hear news about that sooner rather than later, Dane. Unfortunately for that, I will have to reunite with SpongeBob SquarePants, but, you know, needs must.
Well, no one says you have to.
That's true, no one says we have to, but poor Joshua Lee is going to be pretty disappointed if we're throwing him out of the commentary booth here live on air, really sticking the knife into him. I've already taken this gig here.
Yeah, that's true, but that's his
fault.
Choice. Yeah, he's decided to go off with Monster Jam.
Yes. No, I cannot control the whims of a certain Josh Lee. We'll come to the white flag this time by Edmondson, has built up a 3-second buffer as he sweeps his way back onto the dirt through the final corner. Ainge and Clog have separation as well. Although Clog, yet to Joker, should be able to jump in front of the number 7 and grab a slightly better spot in the starting grid for the feature. We'll give him an additional row, effectively. Ward and Sotens not really in a position to really pounce, though maybe closer with the 66th and the 7 than the timing indicates. It will all just be about how they execute on the Joker. Here, Clog will push to the driver's right, and will jump in front of Ainge. Toby Ward behind as well, has seemingly been able to jump the 7. And so as Edmondson rounds the final couple of corners and finds his spot in the feature, it's Palaneva, Clog, and Ward that will cycle to the back of the feature grid. as Atlanta has locked in 12 drivers for a 10-lap main event in RX1 in a few moments' time, Dane.
Yep, it is. It's going to be a very critical start for a lot of the drivers here. As we've seen across both series, overtaking is difficult, and it has been. And the Joker strategy is played into things a lot, and the Joker merge is also played into things a lot. So we'll see how that works out. With 12 cars on the grid, that's an extra few cars on the end to cause a little bit more carnage out of the Jokers. It's going to be challenging.
Just a little bit. I mean, not gonna lie, 2 minutes, not just for the drivers here, but for us in the commentary booth as well. Gives my voice a little bit of a breath, allows me to catch my breath. My heart is pounding. I can only imagine what it's like for some of those drivers. We've seen some of the cool setups from the drivers as well, which I always enjoy getting to do. Dane, we've got the likes of Garrett Maines, triple screens, giving us the 3 camera angles. We had Connor Parisi in virtual reality. And on the other end of things, I've commented on some drivers recently who have very bog standard equipment. It doesn't matter what you have, it's all about how fast you truly are. As my camera decides it doesn't want to work.
Oh, well, now as Arjuna has now been replaced with a black rectangle, not what we like to see. Yeah, it is very odd that all of the different drivers have such different equipment. Some of them have got, you know, the direct drive wheels, some of them have got Logitech wheels on the other end of the spectrum. It's very different, and Rallycross is one of those things where it doesn't really matter too much. Let's see if we can sort of sort that out. Arjuna was back for a second, but...
You want to know a funny story about this camera problem, Dane? When I won my Simi Award back in 2021, you do your interview stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I guess I'm pulling the curtain back a little bit. We record the interviews maybe a few days before.
Yeah.
We had to record my interview 3 times because our camera kept dying. And so poor Ben Constanduris is just sitting there thinking, this Arjuna, how did he win best commentary? He's so unprofessional. His camera doesn't want to work.
That's why we had good old Jamie McDonald in the booth instead for this year, I guess.
I heard that Jamie McDonald, at popular request, may make a re-emergence on RaceBot TV.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, I don't think you'll be happy about his re-emergence. That Jamie McDonald's got an ego, Dane. I mean...
Oh, dear.
Yeah. To wear glasses and hair like that, the orange hair, it takes some confidence.
It is orange.
He thinks the world of himself. Anyway, warm-up's over. We've had a bit of a break. We're ready to go racing. Round 4 for RX1 here in 2023 is guaranteed a new winner, with Jacob Foster, the defending champion, and on a 3-race winning streak, eliminated in the last chance qualifiers. Is it the opportunity for Jukka Pakala or Garrett Maines on the front row of the grid to work their way into victory lane? Connor Parisi and Jarno Leskinen behind then, with Josh Fox and Josh Edmondson, the first 2 drivers advancing their way through the last chance qualifiers. It's Brody Cryer, Yoni Palaneva, Daniel H., Josh Clogg, and then Marcos Palacio and Toby Ward that round out the 12 cars that will do battle here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Dane, as I blasted my way through the grid, I have no idea who comes out on top here. The one thing we know is there is a chance for them all to come out on top.
Absolutely, it's Rallycross. Anything can happen.
Here we go then. Engines rev for the final time today in Atlanta. A great start from Josh Fox in the number 12 machine, but he has to back out of that one. Allows Pakala to control on the inside as Leskinen gets the elbows out and spins around Garrett Maines in the Subaru. Stranded at the back of the field, and now Pakala goes up and over, collected by Jarno Leskinen and Josh Fox. He'll make his way onto his lid before returning to the pit lane, but leading, it's Connor Parisi with the opportunity of a lifetime.
Well, that flip counter having some good use into it there. 5 flips goes one of the drivers side by side of the jump, and they just sort of hit each other and just rotated opposite directions. Crazy stuff at the beginning of the race, and a lot of drivers doing very well to avoid all of that craziness. Obviously, Maines going off as well. Very unfortunate for him. It's going to be difficult to crawl back and gain some good points, but out in front,
Leskinen took the Joker. So did Edmondson, I do believe. So they both cycle their way in some clean air. Aish, Parisi, Fox, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, with that 33 being the 3rd and final car to Joker on the opening lap. If I'm Parisi, it's all about the pressure from behind. What does Josh Fox elect to do? Parisi Jokers this time by. Jokering early and slides to the inside of Jarno Leskinen. Beautifully played by the number 11 machine. Used virtual reality to spot the gap that he needed. And while Leskinen will fight it back to the inside, all this fighting means that Josh Fox is now in the perfect spot to use the clean air to try and jump to the front.
Yep, certainly, but through that choke, you can see how to find the gap between the two cars and find it. Connor did indeed very successfully, and I feel like the VR, when I did Rallycross competitively, definitely using that VR headset gives you a huge advantage over someone on triple screens and single screens. Anybody taking to the Joker this time by? No. Not just yet.
Josh Fox has about a 2-second buffer up the road in front of him, so I think we will likely see him come down, if not this time by, at the latest next time by. 6 cars have jokered, 6 cars still yet to. Lap 3 will be in the books. Parisi still feeling the pressure from behind. Edmondson provisionally in a podium spot. Cryer, Mains, Aish. Those are the 6 that have already taken the 8 to 8.5 second joker. Leskinen, the Williams Esports driver, hot on the heels of Connor Parisi. Check a look in with him as he works his way through the donk slide. Fox electing not to joker, and that is going to mean the number 12, the veteran of Rallycross, is going to encounter some lap traffic. Let's see how he deals with it.
Leskinen getting very sketchy on the exit of that left hand. We've seen a couple of drivers to have issues there now already today, and very nearly that number 25 car going off and into the arm code. Dipped a wheel into the grass, unsettled the car a bit, but it wasn't too drastic. Now Fox, surely at this point you've got to go for the joker.
I'm surprised he didn't go last time by, to be completely honest, but I guess he hasn't technically really caught up to the back of Aish. We'll see. How does he set up? Through the opening sector, driver's left and sweeps to the right. Where is Parisi in the equation? Where's Leskinen as well? In front of Leskinen, but not in front of Parisi, but with the momentum. Fox to the lead of the race will reach the halfway marker here. It's a 3-way ding-dong battle as Williams Esports try to take a 1 and 2 here at Atlanta.
And Leskinen has been all over the back of Parisi as well. Doing a good job, in fact, of holding up Parisi, not letting him just get on with things and allowing his teammate of Josh Fox to get on by. So, now with a couple of laps left still in this race, can Leskinen get past Parisi? Obviously, Joker strategy, no more. It is now just a straight battle on track between the 3 of them as Parisi looks up the inside of Fox.
Gonna have to go back and figure out when the last time Josh Fox won in Racecraft Rallycross was. It was in 2022 in the first season that we had. To grab the victory here today, he's going to need to fight, and that's an understatement. Parisi, first time we've seen him this season, he's looking feisty, he's looking hungry. Leskinen, we know that he's always willing to throw the moves that need to be thrown. 4 to go, Edmondson separated. It is very much between these 3 drivers.
Bumper to bumper stuff as they make their way through the first sector now into the donk side. This is where I feel like a move is going to be made by somebody. Parisi up the inside of Fox, a little bit of contact is made. That's Rallycross for you, and Fox holds on for it with a better exit. Now Leskinen pushing Parisi around the corner. Bumpers connected, looks at the inside for the last couple of corners here.
They're basically separated by half a second, the 3 cars. Leskinen commits down the inside and bullies his way past. Connor Parisi, it is now a Williams Esports 1 and 2, but are they teammates? Are they fighting out on track? How willing are they going to be to work together? We're about to find out.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's no teams championship in Racecraft Rallycross, and therefore, if I'm Leskinen, I am fully going for it, you know? I'm not going to sit back and let Josh take the victory. I want it.
So Atlanta was the home of our season finale at the end of 2022. That race saw Jacob Prost grab the victory. Jukka Pakala grabbed a very impressive second place, but none of these three drivers fighting for the victory even were in the feature itself. Back in 2022, our first season that we had of Racecraft TV Rallycross that year, it was Connor Parisi that grabbed the victory. I think that's going to be an outside chance for him this time by. He's just fallen that little bit too far behind the two that now battle at the front of the field. When was the last time that Josh Fox won a Racecraft TV race? That was all the way back in February of 2022 at Sonoma. Jarno Leskinen may want to get this move done, but Josh Fox isn't going to make it easy.
He's definitely not. One of the most experienced drivers in IRX, I think, out of anyone. He's been right from the beginning and has consistently been at that top level. Leskinen is looking everywhere. That you can see almost every single corner complex. Leskinen looking left, looking right, trying to find the gap. And so close. 2:10 separate them across the line to start this all through the first couple of corners. It's one more opportunity for him.
It comes down to this, the setup into the donk slide and how they wrap their momentum into the final couple of corners. Leskinen hounds the rear end of Fox, but the two teammates will set up a perfect photo opportunity, sweeping their way through the dirt. One more chance for commitment, but is he too far back? Leskinen off of the road will allow Fox the clean air that he needs to be assured of the victory. It was 396 days ago that Josh Fox last tasted victory in Racecraft TV Rallycross. Chaos today is set up maybe a championship fight as Josh Fox crosses the line, a winner once more in Racecraft TV Rallycross. Behind him, a Williams Esports 1 and 2 as Jarno Leskinen celebrates with Fox. Connor Parisi on his return to the series will round out the podium. Edmondson and Maines 4th and 5th. Plenty of excitement, plenty of drama here today. And most importantly, Dane, some fantastic racing all the way to the checkered flag.
Oh, it absolutely was. Those top three really going for it there. Parisi losing out on an opportunity at the victory and unfortunately losing out on second place as well. But after a lunge up the inside on Fox, absolutely brilliant stuff. And that donk slide producing some brilliant racing there as well.
It's a team 1-2 for Fox and Leskinen. They'll celebrate as Williams Esports duo, but Fox back on top and looking to try and get the championship after two consecutive second place finishes. Parisi in third on his return, Edmondson 4th and Maines in 5th. Palaneva with a great joker to grab his way up into 6th. Wardclog and Cryer and Aish bookend our top 10, while behind them just two more drivers scored and classified at the line. It's Marcos Palacio as well as Jukka Pakala, who is unable to show that same form that we saw from him last time here in the Peach State. We'll give it a few moments for our drivers to work our way down into the interview lane, and we'll grab a look at some of the pivotal moments of the race, starting, of course, through turn number 1. Pakala got over the curb on the inside, into Leskinen and into Maines. That saw him spin himself around, and then, of course, they worked their way up and over the dump, and from there, some side-by-side contact. And I think, Dane, you said add 5 to our flip counter. Let's see if we can count correctly here.
So I've got 2 already, and then carried over, flips the other direction once, twice, and then another 3 times. Yep, just 3 times out of shot there. Maybe 6, maybe a case could be given for 6, but at least 5. It was a lot.
That's going to have to go to our TV review board. We'll see what the council thinks about that one. I tell you what, we are waiting for Josh Fox to stand on by. Let's work our way backwards through the interviews then. Jarno Leskinen is also waiting, but let's start with Connor Parisi, who on his return to the series finishes on the podium. Connor, great to have you back. How is it like to be back on the dirt here in Racecraft TV Rallycross?
I've missed you guys. It's good to be back. Good to get a good result right off the rip. So, couldn't have asked for a better return.
I could.
Two better spots would have been better, but
I do have to ask you, racing in virtual reality, we see you with that now. What's it like being able to see 300, almost 60-degree views through some of these starts as well, which just looks so chaotic?
Yeah, this new Pimax is great with the 200 degrees of view you get in this bad boy. Seeing all the cars and carnage around you, it certainly helps, especially in the first couple corners with the chaos that you guys saw.
Well, what do we have to hope for you for the rest of the season? Hopefully a bit more of a regular schedule moving forward on Sundays?
Yep, I should be back for the rest of the season. So looking forward to getting back in the swing of things and getting a couple spots higher on this podium.
Love to see it, and can't wait to see you in 7 days' time. Congratulations on third here today.
Thanks, fellas.
We'll go from Connor Parisi to the second step of the podium, where Dane Baird is going to try and tease some words out of young Jarno Leskinen.
Well, Jarno, it's a very good performance from you out there today, as we had obviously second place in your heat race and then second place in the feature as well. Some real tough battles out there for you.
Yeah, some great battles, with Connor. It was a great battle.
And obviously your teammate of Josh in front of you for the feature, were you going to try for the lead of the race, or were you happy to just sit back in second and play the team game?
Little bit of both. Like, I tried, of course, but I didn't want to be like hit him and like stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You never want to be taking out your teammate. Pretty good start to the season for yourself as well. Obviously, Rafos taken out of the equation, so some great points for you in your championship hunt. We look forward to seeing you next week, and yeah, it's been a good performance for you, second place.
Yeah, thanks.
Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we go, Jarno?
It was nice to work with Josh this week, and shout out to the team.
Absolutely, the Williams Esports driver there of Jarno Leskinen, and now his teammate with Arjuna.
Josh, 396 days after your last Racecraft TV Rallycross victory, you get another one, and one that saw you have to go through the last chance qualifiers, and saw you have to work your way through plenty of drama here today. How are you feeling?
Well, it was an exciting day for sure, and just got to give a lot of credit to my teammate, Jarno. We worked during the week, and we felt pretty good about our chances here, and there was no doubt that the speed was there through qualifying, and then the heat race a little bit exciting, but ending up where we belonged at the end of the day was good.
Yeah, talk to us about that heat race in particular. This is, of course, one of the staple tracks for Rallycross and iRacing, so you've had many a race around here. What were you thinking through all of that chaos that saw you finish up in third?
Yeah, it was just classic Atlanta. I mean, the amount of times I've been in an incident off the first corner on the start here, pretty much every time, and major competition or official races, but just being able to survive that and damage control was okay. I wasn't panicking about being in third there, even though we saw what happened to Jacob in the B main. That's always a risk, but still knew we were fast, and ended up where we belong.
Over to Iowa next time by. How are you feeling with 4 rounds in the championship now done and dusted, almost halfway through the season?
Yeah, it was good to rebound this week after some steps off the podium last 2 weeks, and Iowa is another good track, but we have to go to work. A lot more pavement, less dirt there, so requires a little different setup, and we'll go to work on that.
Well, from the last chance qualifiers to a victory, maybe unexpected, but I'm sure it'll put a smile on your face. Congratulations, Josh. We'll see you in Iowa in 7 days' time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And before I get out of here, I want to thank all you guys at Racecraft. Put on a great show. Really great racing today. And I also want to thank Williams Esport, all great partners, Chill Blast, Team Racer, BenQ Monitors, Recaro Seats, Fanatec, Playseat, Heisingveld Pedals, Duracell, and Gulf Oil.
I was about to say you forgot the brand new one, Duracell there, but you slipped at it in the end. Congratulations, Josh. We'll see you in 7 days' time. And again, where are we in 7 days' time? We are over in Iowa. It is one of those tracks which I think sends chills through the spines of some of these drivers, Dane. We use some of the banking, we use some of the infield as well. Plenty of jumps, plenty of dirt. And it's one of those tracks that has a mega shortcut. 11 to 13 seconds is the Joker Delta.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous delta. It really is. You cut the entire infield. If you take the Rallycross layout, it almost looks like an oval with a bit of an infield section. You cut the whole thing. It's a massive shortcut. So much so that I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. During the IRX World Championship, they literally missed Garrett Lowe taking the lead of the race, seemingly out of nowhere when he took the Joker. They were focusing on the two drivers up in front, having a battle of their own, and he swept through, took the victory. They didn't even know. So it is really difficult for the drivers to actually figure out where they are overall in the races there.
Yeah, no, Joker Deltas aren't usually that big in the real world. I think we should point that out for the most part. Let's talk about today very quickly before we wrap things up. Plenty of drama, plenty of chaos, and I think a slightly unusual circumstance. The fact that in both races today, drivers went from the last chance qualifiers to victory lane.
Something that we very, very rarely see. I don't think we've ever seen it in Racecraft TV Rallycross, but certainly it is one of the rarest sights you'll see. And we get it twice in both of our races today. Absolutely nuts. But some really, really good racing out there. I was really enjoying that top 3 battle in the feature for RX1 as well.
Oh, it was amazing, and it just sets us up for next week, which is going to be, I think, some incredible racing once again. For now, though, it's time to bid you farewell from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. What a show Racecraft TV Rallycross put on once more. We'd like to thank Esteban Ballo, TrackCams22.com, for helping us behind the scenes, for everyone at Racecraft TV, for Ryan Bauer, our producer, for Dane Bear alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next Sunday from Iowa to continue the show and to reach the halfway mark of the season. Catch us next time on Racecraft TV for more RX action.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.